Hello and welcome back to Inform New Hampshire. My name is Dean Kern. This is Richie Merritt, my co-host. We're broadcasting on Manchester Public Television, Channel 23, every Monday evening, 6:30. Last night's broadcast was a rerun because the studio was closed, so we're taping early Thursday morning, and we'll run this one during the week on Thursday, 7:30 a.m., Saturday, 9 a.m., Sunday, 2 p.m. You can view our shows on YouTube as well, searching for Inform New Hampshire on YouTube. If you like what you hear, you can we ask you to click the icon, the like icon, as well as subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to contact us via email, you can see that on your screen, informnh@hushmail.com. For those of you who missed the last couple shows, we've talked about the Constitution, we've talked about National Liberty Alliance and the solution to America's problems, that being the common law grand juries, which is a tool created for us, we the people, started back at the Magna Carta, 1215, for us to hold our investigations into public corruption and that sort of thing, hold our government accountable, root out corruption. The common law grand juries were stolen from us back in 1946 through legal manipulation, and it is our intention with the National Liberty Alliance to reinstate those common law grand juries in all counties in the country. Richie and I are committed to sharing news and information that you won't find in the mainstream media. We believe our country is in deep peril, and we're here to shed some light on some of the information that we've discovered and the corruption and fraud of some of the historical events that brought us here. Keep a pen and paper handy, and you might want to jot down some research items along the way. Today's show is about the monetization and enslavement of you, the people. So, Richie, how do you want to start this off?
First, I'd like to start it off by mentioning a disclaimer. Last week I said the government is corrupt from head to toe, and I meant it. However, I didn't want to imply to people out there that if you work for the government, you're corrupt. The people at the top are corrupt, and I understand that if you're an employee and your employer tells you to do something, you do it. You want to keep your job. So I understand that. But the government is absolutely corrupt, unbelievably corrupt. And we're going to touch upon that today. We said we were going to expose it this week. We're going to expose it. We're probably touching the tip of the iceberg. But the way I'd like to start is to say that, and everybody does this very innocently. When you're born, your mother signs the birth certificate, or your father, I'm not sure which one because I've never been around. I assume it's the mother. Once you sign that document, you've signed your child over to the state. And I'll tell you why I say that. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, but George Washington and Abraham Lincoln didn't have a birth certificate. They didn't need them back then. This started, I believe, in 1915 and was full tilt in 1933 under FDR. A lot about that guy you might not like after hearing some of this stuff. Anyway, when you bring your baby home from the hospital and you show your relatives and your friends and your neighbors, this is little Joey or Mary or whatever your daughter or son's name is, nobody ever says, I don't believe you, I want to see the birth certificate. No one ever says that. It's your son or daughter. You're proud of them. The problem is the government is the one who wants to see a birth certificate. They want to see it because when you sign your name, and that's key, signing, you're signing an agreement with the government. So they're sharing in your child. That's why today you see people having their children taken from them without due process of law, because you signed that document. That's one of the reasons. And it's key to know that. Now, I would recommend, and I try to do this with family members of my own, don't sign the birth certificate. Don't agree to anything. Don't sign your name on anything because it's voluntary. And once you sign your name, you're entering into an agreement. 9 times out of 10, the people that want you to sign are the government or corporate America. And they're one and the same today. We'll show that in a little while. Excuse me. That's the thing with the birth certificate. Dean's going to touch upon Social Security, which is a real class act.
Well, just real quick, I just want to say that when they create this entity, which they call a corporation, they also define the word as person to mean corporation. They supposedly create a contract between you and the state when you sign the birth certificate, turning over your child to the authority of the state. but it's null and void because the elements of a contract are not met. Full disclosure and a couple other things. But let me just say that oftentimes it's called a straw man. So if you look in Black's Law Dictionary, I've got the third pocket edition here. In part, the definition, a third party used in some transaction as a temporary transferee to allow the principal parties to accomplish something that is otherwise impermissible. So they create this straw man, which is you, the shadow you, which is you defined in all capital letters, or if you see your name on your license or your social security card, you'll find variations of the all capital letters, sometimes your first name last, your last name first. And so there are various contracts that they are creating with us, unbeknownst to us. But the straw man, I just want to read from you real quick here. This book is called Meet Your Straw Man. I'm not sure who the author is. The answer is, why create a straw man? In order to charge the straw man imaginary costs and penalties and fool the human being into paying those amounts. This imaginary charges include income tax, council tax, inheritance tax, capital gains tax, road tax, import tax, value-added tax, fuel levy, loan interest, bank charges, and anything else full-time professionals can think up and are confident that you will not notice that you never agreed to pay and don't need to pay. That's called, and the process they use is legalese. Legalese is a secret language invented to trick you into using common English words, but attaches secret meanings to those words with the sole intention of stopping you from believing what they are saying to you has nothing to do with normal meaning in the English language. Their purpose is to cheat you and rob you, and so they do so. So when they get you into a contract with your Social Security card, they're saying that, well, you voluntarily agreed not only to pay Social Security, but to enter yourself as a subject to the United States Incorporated Corporation, submitting all of your fundamental rights over to the corporation, and therefore now you only have your civil rights, which are dictated by the government. And that is the reverse opposite of the founding of this country. The structure of our government was intended to be, and so we have been hoodwinked and we've been asleep at the wheel. So, for instance, the driver's license. Did you want to talk on that?
Well, I wanted to jump in here to follow up on what Dean had said. This is the United States Constitution, the supreme law of the land, not because I say so, because the book says so. And I can't remember exactly when it was now, but our Congress changed the meaning of the word persons so that a person today is a corporation. The problem is under Article 1, Section 8, which are defined and limited powers that we granted to our servant government, they don't have the authority to change definitions of words. And that is subversion, that is deceit, that is fraud in any way you look at it. They've all been guilty of this. The Congress, the President, the courts are still participating in it. They're the worst offenders. They take children away from their parents without due process because you signed that contract. As far as Social Security, now, recently, someone I know had a baby, and right in the hospital gave them the birth certificate and the forms for Social Security. And the baby's just born, a couple days old. You're not going to work, and you don't have to sign anything, including Social Security. Under common law, you are the sovereign, and the government cannot impose a direct tax on you. Any tax, doesn't matter what it is. They can impose a tax like gasoline, alcohol, food, because those are things that you're going to get, or purchase rather, and they have a right to do that. The gasoline will pay for our roads, the food for whatever. They have a reason for all of it, and you got to figure out what that is. But we sign away our life for everything. The Social Security number is simply a tracking number that follows you for the rest of your life. They know everything you do, everything, because the corporations we're going to go into this in a couple of weeks. The corporations are tied into the government, or vice versa. I don't know who owns who, but it's pretty much the same. So the Social Security, and I'm not recommending that anybody not do anything. We're just trying to enlighten you here. But be cautious about the Social Security. The government has already taken money, the Congress has already taken money out of Social Security and never paid it back. That's your money, not theirs. You put it into it. Your employer puts into it. And I don't know why the employers participate in this program. They should say no to the government. They're not agents of the government. They're running a business. So I don't know why they do that. Anyway, that's part of the problem. And the next thing we're going to touch upon is a driver's license, which Dean can pick up on if you'd like, or I'll take it, whatever you want to do.
Well, same situation with driver's license. You have the right to freely travel unimpeded by government in any way. So when you sign away on a driver's license, you are taking a right and turning it into a privilege for the state to then dictate to you how that privilege will be managed. And by doing that, the state then has the ability, with your willing compliance, to extract revenue from you for a myriad codes and regulations regarding how to operate your vehicle or how to drive on the roads. So I doubt there's any of us that can go out and drive around for a day and come away not having broken one of those codes. So they literally have access to, according to their side of the story, they have access to pull you over, to charge you money at any time they want. So the police officers, who used to be peace officers, are now code enforcement officers and revenue collectors. So they're there to support the privately owned for-profit corporation to collect revenue from you, we the people, and we are willingly complying simply because we are ignorant. And I don't mean that in an offensive way. I just mean that we don't realize what's going on. We don't realize the tricks that have been played on us and the secret codes they use and the authority they've stolen from us. I want to read this real quick thing regarding what a judge said back in, he said, 1938, all the hired judges and top attorneys and U.S. attorneys were called into secret meeting, and this is what we were told. America is bankrupt nation. It is owned completely by its creditors. The creditors own Congress, they own the executive, they own the judiciary, they own all the state governments. Take silent judicial notice of this fact, but never reveal it openly. That's what the judge was told. So he wasn't one of the top people, but he was told that. So what you have is an international banking cartel. And I read from you last week on Anna von Reitz, if you'll remember, there was a point in time which the United States of America was bought by these international bankers. Yes, they were corporations and they were bought as a business interest. And so that's how they ran it into bankruptcy, and then they took control of the court system, telling the judges and lawyers, now you have to operate this way, which is basically putting them into Admiralty jurisdiction, which they did not want any of them to mention because it usurped the common law jurisdiction that you and I have a fundamental right to, because this is a common law country. So we also...
Excuse me, Dean, but I just wanted to say that this being the United States Constitution and we being the sovereign, we wrote this book for the government to obey. They stole our power, yet that doesn't mean that it's over. They can't steal something. If I steal something from you, that doesn't mean, well, I own it now. It's still yours. You're entitled to get it back. Same thing applies with our courts and our government. They've stolen it from us. It's time for us to wake up and get it back. One other thing about the driver's license that I wanted to mention, a driver's license was defined years and years ago as, and this is going back 150, 200 years ago before cars, as a carriage or a wagon, something that transports either goods or services or people. And they wanted the driver to be insured or licensed so that if something happened, they could go after that person, sue them, and recoup their money. Well, you are not a driver, you're a traveler, not a driver. They trick you into thinking that. That's why you get a driver's license. You don't need a license to drive a car. And I'm not suggesting anybody out there go do this. What I'm telling you is that's the law. You don't. The courts do not participate in common law. They don't even acknowledge the Constitution. It's up to we the people to make them do that. That's what we have to do. And as far as, I don't want to get into corporations, because in a couple of weeks we're going to be getting into that and tying in corporations to the government and vice versa. But the next thing we have is hunting and fishing licenses.
And also marriage licenses.
Oh,
So-
marriage, I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Yep. I'll let you talk about that, marriage licenses.
Well, the marriage license started back in the Civil War. And I don't know exactly what year, but it was during the Civil War when the Emancipation Proclamation came down and they freed the slaves. They didn't want slaves, or some people didn't, the elite, I guess, didn't want slaves marrying outside their race. So they issued these licenses, which were supposed to curtail slaves from intermarriage. The problem was, it caught on pretty well, and the state says, you know, this is working pretty good. Why don't we just do this to everybody? And that's what they did. You don't need a license to marriage, excuse me. You never did, you never will, but they trick you into it because they're extracting money from you, and that's all they're good for, is extracting money. All of these things, and we're going to touch upon a couple more and then go into something different, but all of these things are designed to take money from your pocket that you do not have to pay. Now, having said that, and I said this before, don't stop doing what you're doing. We need to get together and stop it as the people. I don't run this country, you don't run this country, but collectively we all run this country. We elect politicians, they answer to us, supposedly. That's changing, unfortunately, but it is. Next, you're going to touch upon,
Hunting and fishing.
excuse me.
So why would the state get involved in licensing us to be able to hunt and fish to feed ourselves or for even sport? It is, again, it is founded in their corporate structure. They issue a license and hoodwink us into believing that we have to have one in order to exercise our God-given rights to feed ourselves. And by issuing that license, they trick us into submitting our sovereignty and authority to operate as an individual into their jurisdiction, which makes us then voluntarily become a slave to their system and under their control, and allowing them to then operate authority over us, which is, again, the opposite of the way that this country was founded, which is we were the authorities in the country, and we created the government to operate under our jurisdiction. Did you want to mention the pyramid structure of that, or no?
No, I can talk about it a little bit. The way any organization is formed is a pyramid with the president, the CEO, the executive director, board of directors, and then obviously the stockholders, or however you want to look at it. What the founding fathers did is they took that pyramid and turned it upside down. They put the people on the top, which is the biggest group, obviously. The states are under that in the middle, and down the bottom, the little point on the pyramid is the federal government. Well, over the past 200 years, the federal government went like this, and it was very slow, but they turned it back on its head, and now we're back to the pyramid structure that we were. And that was because we, the people, failed, and that's the only reason we failed. One of the other things I wanted to mention real quickly was, because there was something important I want to get to, the right to keep and bear arms. It's very specific in here. This is the supreme law of the land. Nothing trumps it. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. If you don't know what that means, look up infringed. It means they can't encroach upon it, they can't come near it, they can't move towards it. They can't do anything, yet they are doing it. Now, it doesn't matter to me what you feel or what you think about guns. The law is the law. There is a process in place to change this document, and it isn't our servant government threatening to take guns away. I just witnessed on a video Robert Lavoie Finicum on January 26th being assassinated by our government. He came out of a car and put his hands up, and they shot him 9 times. It's on video. I'm not making this up. I don't know that anybody wants to see that in this country, but if that's what we're coming to, a police state, we are there, actually. We're in pretty bad shape. But as far as the gun, the license, you don't need a license. I'm not suggesting that you don't get one, because the police don't know the law. They're ignorant of this book. We talked about ignorance last week. Unfortunately, the police and the judges got to come to terms with himself. You're either going to help bury this country, or you're going to help save it. And the way to do it is to center yourself around the United States Constitution. We're all in this together. If you're not in it together, you sink or swim, that type of thing. And I have something else pretty lengthy to talk about, but before I do you have anything, Dean?
I'll just set you up. You're going to talk about servant government. The president passes executive orders. The president is really the president of a corporation. He passes executive orders, and he's become a de facto dictator in our country. And the reason he can get away with it is because he's not operating a government that's for and by the people. He is operating a corporation. And so when he passes executive orders, which in a governmental structure is really, executive orders are designed to instruct the government employees how to go about their business. And technically, his executive orders are really orders for his corporation. The way they usurp our rights is they get us into these contracts that we've just gone over. In particular, when you register to vote, you submit yourself into their jurisdiction and you are subject of the voting authority at that point. On a national level, you become a subject of the corporation called United States Incorporated. And there you are then subject to the dictates from a dictator. When President Obama makes his executive orders, they interpret that to mean that you are subject to those orders and you have to abide by them. But it is completely repugnant to the Constitution, causing all those orders and all the laws that they create that are repugnant to the Constitution to be null and void from the inception. So the entire system is a fraud. It is a fraud designed to deceive you and to control you, to take your wealth, your prosperity, and to subject you to their tyranny and to keep you small and overwhelmed and prevent you from rising up and taking your power back from them. Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention two things if you want to write this down. Two of the videos that I found, the documentaries that I found very, very good, is What Happened to the Constitution, if you want to write that down and look it up. And the other one is Season of Treason. Kurt Kellenbeck is the narrator of that video, and I think both of them are very, very good. I'll try to mention them before we leave the show at the end of the day. But one of the things I wanted to say to people, check out what me and Dean are saying. Don't believe a damn word. Nothing we say. Check it out, and you'll find out that it's true. Don't be lazy. Pardon me, I'm not trying to make people, offend people or anything like that, but I was for a lot of years. I wouldn't take the time to look it up. It's important. And I want to ask you, when JFK got assassinated, for those of you who were alive, what did you do about it? How about when Waco, which is more recently in the 90s, when Waco happened and 86 people died at the hands of the government, and they were actually military people, or at least it's alleged they were military, but they're government anyway, in the back of the building, shooting at people trying to exit that burning building. This is our government now. You can check this out for yourself. What did you do about that? How about Obamacare when they passed that? Did you do anything? How about the Patriot Act, which violates your Fourth Amendment rights? So does Obamacare, but that violates all of your rights as far as I'm concerned. The Patriot Act definitely violates your Fourth Amendment rights. So all you Bush fans out there, he signed it into law. How about NDAA? That's a great one, yeah. Throw you in jail and you stay there forever because the president says you're a domestic terrorist. That's a great bill. Do you like that one? What did you do about it? How about Agenda 21, which is the United Nations, again, trying to get into the communities and take us over? Did you do anything about that? How about Common Core? You care what they're doing to your children? I know you love your children, but you care enough to do anything? And the last thing I want to say to you is this. The time for you to get involved and to learn what's going on and to start getting angry and channel that energy in a positive direction is now. Okay? Not when they're taking you off from a bus and loading you into a FEMA camp. It's too late then. And that day's coming sooner than you think. I'm not one of these people who the sky is falling. But the direction that we're heading is serious, and we're going to be in big trouble. We have to fight this fight together. Liberals, conservative, Democrats, Republicans. We're Americans. And if we center ourselves around this book and forget everything that isn't in this, just center ourselves around what is in this. Freedom of speech, all right, freedom to assemble, freedom of religion, right to keep and bear arms, to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures at the airport with the TSA and Homeland Security. Two illegal organizations shouldn't be operating. If you don't know these things, take the time to find out, please. It's up to us to get this done. So I beg each and every one of you, look, what happened to the Constitution, and you can find these on YouTube, by the way, and Kurt Kellenbeck is the narrator of the one, Season of Treason. Please check those two out. We'll have plenty more, believe me. I won't get into them now. We'll have plenty more. I'll turn it back to you, Dean.
Well, Richie brings up some really good points. It is up to we the people to take our power back, take our country back. And that is all that is needed, is for each of us to stand up for our rights. This is a very small fraction of people who are operating this entire system. Most people in government don't know what's going on. They are compartmentalized. They're not intending to enslave us, but they are part of a system that does do that. So the good news is there's a legal and lawful solution to these problems. National Liberty Alliance is committed to reinstating the common law grand juries around the country. And you can find National Liberty Alliance at nationallibertyalliance.org. Richie and I are state coordinators. Be happy to have you come and meet with us on Wednesday nights here in Manchester every week. And if you want to communicate with us, please use the email that you see on the screen there. The next few weeks, we're going to go over some very important stuff. We have a guest coming on the 29th, Pat Murphy, and we're going to talk about Blue Ways, which is the government's new way of stealing land from we the people by the dictate of somebody just saying, oh, we're going to take this land. We're going to use it the way we want to, which they're doing all over the country, by the way. And that's the whole impetus behind what happened with the Bundy Ranch and the Hammond Ranch out west. There's maps available on YouTube to see how much government land, how much land the government has taken from us over the time. Excuse me, it's my timer going off there. But anyway, thank you for joining us. We hope that you'll view us again. Come look for us on YouTube, Inform New Hampshire, and we appreciate you tuning in.
Tell your friends to watch, please, and thank you. Have a good day.